Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the April 14th Sustainability Working Group meeting. We'll start off with the territorial acknowledgement.
Sorry, we have gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between Indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community.
Thank you, Leslie. So before we go any further on the agenda, we do have a new member around the screen. We have our new Public Works representative, Brian Bishop, our Manager of Engineering. So Brian, I don't, you know the rest of the staff on the call, but perhaps maybe we can do a quick introduction for the other two community members here, and perhaps John and Dean as well, if you can give Brian kind of an introduction as well.
Sure. Hi, Brian. I'm Dean Peachy. We've met a little bit through Let's Tree Wilmot discussions, and so I'm involved with Let's Tree Wilmot. I live in New Hamburg, blissfully retired, and happy to be part of this committee.
Hi, Brian. John Jordan, resident of downtown Wilmot Center, member of the working group since its inception, and look forward to working with you on everything that we're doing going forward.
Okay. All right. So are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none. Okay. Review of the previous meeting minutes. Are there any issues with minutes from the previous meeting? Okay. Seeing none, can I have someone move that? Moved by Leslie, second by Dean. All in favor? And that's carried. Excellent. So we'll move on to business. The Transform 80 by 50 action item list. That's the standing agenda item. I don't have any updates for that today. So if there's no questions, I'll move on to Earth Day 2022. So that's a continuation of what we discussed at the last committee meeting as far as Earth Day initiatives for this year. So I'll start first with the Trails Committee meeting that I was supposed to attend to the meeting the following week after our last meeting. So I did attend to that meeting. We did settle on an Earth Day event for the township. I'm sure if there's a press release issued this morning by the township. So there will be a community-wide cleanup at various sites throughout the township in conjunction with the Trails Committee. And we also did join Earth Day, and we'll touch on that after. So as far as the community cleanup, it'll occur on Saturday, April 23rd. The intended times are between 9 and 12 p.m. And there will be various site leads at throughout the township. The exact sites have yet to been determined. I'm still working that out with the Trails Committee. They're trying to ensure we have enough volunteers to meet those specific sites. So I know, Dean, I did send a communication to the group of any volunteers that want to be a point lead to get in contact. I know, Dean, you did reach out to me, so I did circulate your name back. So once we have that list finalized, we'll also publish that areas that will be, where there'll be staff, or not staff, but volunteers there to hand out, the necessary, bags and instructions of where to go and where to drop off the bags on that morning. So we hope that there'll be a good turnout for the community. It'll be, think it's a great initiative for everyone to partake in, and certainly, come together and meet those, environmental alignments that everyone's striving for. And part of that, we've joined the Earth Day website. So I know, Dean, I did pass it off to our communications team that you sent earlier in the year. So we did join that initiative, and that is our pledge to kind of join that movement along with numerous organizations and municipalities on that website. So are there any questions on the Earth Day initiative? Dean?
Yeah, so if we're spreading the word about this, people are interested in participating in the cleanup, are they supposed to indicate that ahead of time, or do they just show up at 9 o'clock somewhere, or what kind of message do you want us to give them?
I think the message will just be show up. There'll be a point lead there that'll just hand out and it's a drop in. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be there exactly at 9 o'clock. You can come at any time between the hour range. I think as far as communications along that line will be, as we approach closer to the date, we'll be more clear on that. The press release this morning was more joining the Earth Day, and we did have a little blurb in there of what the township will be doing. So once we have those exact locations nailed down, then we'll actually have something more to push out.
Ash, or maybe this is towards Dean then, and is this part of it too? Because the rain barrel thing we had scheduled for, I guess it's next Friday from 4 till 7.
Yeah, so I'm happy to report there with the permission of the chair. I got an update from rainbarrel.ca yesterday. As of yesterday, there were orders for 54 barrels. So I think that's quite good. Secretly, I've been hoping for 100. I don't think we're going to get to 100. We've been saying that tomorrow is the deadline for ordering, and that's simply because the distributor needs to book a truck a week ahead of time, and they need to know roughly what size truck they're booking for the delivery. So based on the number of orders that they have tomorrow, they will book a truck for the delivery. So we're saying the deadline is tomorrow, but realistically, people can probably continue to order for a couple more days after that. As long as there's space in the truck, they'll keep throwing more barrels on the truck when they come. Ashton, it was helpful, the promotion that the Township Communications did on social media. One of the very first people who contacted me for more information, I said, how did you hear about this? And she says, on Twitter from the township. So thank you for that. And if it's possible for you to ask communications to do a final, one more blitz today, to just say, get the orders in by tomorrow, that would be fantastic. At our last meeting, a couple members of this group had offered to help with the distribution, which will be in the rec center parking lot next Friday, the 22nd, Earth Day, from 4 to 7. John, I think you had said you'd be available to show up with your trailer to help do delivery. We're offering home delivery. We're not publicizing this, but we are making home delivery available, particularly to older people who are a little unsure about picking up and transporting barrels and so forth. So there are a number of people who have requested that. Somebody will be in touch with you, John, with sort of more details about that in early next week. Yeah. Okay. If anybody else is interested in volunteering, let me know. I think Jen Fennings had also said she was hoping to be there for the distribution. I think that's all I have, unless others have questions. But it's been great to see this sort of take off. Yeah.
Good.
Thanks, Dean. Okay, yeah, and I'll definitely I'll send after the meeting a quick note to our communications team to see if they can kind of do that final notice blast. Okay, so in addition to the community cleanup and the rain barrels, we did talk about the carbon cleanse that the Sustainable Water Region normally runs every year. We did join. However, we had a new communication staff member was on board within the last month. So, and a lot of other activities occurring in the township. So as far as the capacity to undertake that 4-week challenge and communicate that, there were other competing priorities, especially in the last couple of weeks. So we didn't, we haven't officially, communicated the carbon cleanse, but leading up to the Earth Day, kind of what we communicated, what we talked about the last meeting, Dean and Leslie, and maybe Leslie can speak a little bit more to it, as far as communications each day leading up to Earth Day. Maybe I'll let Leslie kind of speak a little bit more to that, because she can definitely speak better than me.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, we talked about what we did internally for staff last year and the year before, maybe, participating in Earth Week and each day having a theme. And I remember last meeting, Dean, you had said that, like, is there something we can do? It's kind of last minute for Earth Day. And then, so I actually came up with the idea. I saw it actually on Earth Day's website. It's the, like your small green, like what's one thing that you can do? I can't remember what they call them. They call them, I have it here. I'm gonna send out a communication on it. It's called a simple act of green. And so the idea being that what is like one thing that you can do for that day that would help, various sustainability issues. So I had to rejig it just a little bit so that it could be both an internal and external communication. We are going to, as staff members, are going to be able to do a community cleanup around the admin building, and I guess other places, because WRC too, if they want to participate, right, Ashton? On April 22nd, between 12 and 1. So that is basically what's going on there. Yeah.
Dean?
So Leslie, is this list around a simple act of green, is that being posted on the township website anywhere, or?
Yeah, yes, I believe that's what's going to happen. It's going to go out through communications to both internal and residents and staff as well. And so last year, what I did was each sort of theme day was like a little bit of a background. So like we did Meatless Monday, knowing that Monday is technically a holiday. I still put it in there. And, the idea of like, limiting the amount of meat you eat, and then the effects on the fashion industry, on the environment is another theme. Zero Waste Wednesday, Thrifted Thursday. I've changed it to Thrifted Thursday this time. So wear, clothing that you've thrifted or an outfit you've had for quite a while, your vintage ones. And yeah, so with each day having one challenge for you to do, but then a little bit of information about it. So like I said, it will be going out, I'm assuming, on Facebook and Twitter, and then also internally to staff. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Comments?
All right, thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that was kind of it for Earth Day. It's approaching coming, and like you said, it's next week. So, okay, and so just a reminder that anyone that wants to volunteer for the trail cleanup, point of contact, just reach out to me. I'm assuming, perhaps if not today, Tuesday, we'll have that list nailed down. I'll be reaching out to the trails, the point of contact who's spearheading that, the trails committee, to ensure we have that list nailed down, because we need to get that out to the community to ensure that they know where to go if they do decide to go out and participate. All right, so next on the agenda is the waste pickup. It was going off of what you had suggested, Dean, at the last meeting to look into, as far as how you observed in, sorry, I believe where you were before in Winnipeg, as far as a Saturday pickup, or kind of leaving stuff out on the curb for those to pick up. I didn't get in contact with the region just yet, as far as that goes. I'm not sure how we want to proceed. I know we did discuss, we'll put it on the agenda for today, but at this point in time, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll give a little bit of background for Brian, since he's from the Public Works and Engineering. So the idea was to, I guess, Dean, maybe Dean, if you can do a quick overview of that, better than me.
Yeah, so this came out of when I was living in Winnipeg. Winnipeg did this very popular thing twice a year, spring and fall. They had what was called free weekend or giveaway weekend. And the idea was, if you had things that you wanted to get rid of, you could simply put it out on the curb in front of your house on Saturday and Sunday, and put a sign on it that said free. And anybody was welcome to pop by and pick up what was there. And people did this quite a bit. And it was it was a great way to get rid of things and some stuff that you wouldn't even take to a thrift store, like just sort of scraps of building materials and so forth. I'd put them out and they'd disappear. It was wonderful. So that was the idea, whether Wilmot Township might consider trying something like that. And I hadn't proposed specific dates, but I think, either spring or fall. Obviously, it's not going to happen in spring at this point. It was something that the citizens appreciated and seemed to work well. And then if at the end of the weekend, there was still stuff on the curb, you were responsible for taking it back in, not leaving it out there to sit forever.
Can I have a comment? If that's okay. Okay. So in my research for doing the Earth Week event, there are lots of neighborhood associations that do that as part of Earth Week. And I think John was talking about the Mennonite relief sale coming up. So my thoughts were that it would be a great idea to sort of choose a day that's close to that, put it out for people if they want to pick it up, because some things are still like usable or you can repurpose them. Then either make like a point of contact or a place to put them that it can be picked up by somebody or delivered to MCC Thrift. What I want to say, I think if this is going to happen, is that we are going to have a champion, somebody who is going to basically decide that, May 31st or May 30th or whatever day is going to be the day that the Township of Wilmot participates in this. And then basically it would just be communicating it out. And then every year it'll be that, right? So yeah, we just need a volunteer to basically run with that, I'd say. But I really like the idea. I think it's a great idea. So. Questions, comments? Volunteer for champion?
Well,
yay.
I'm volunteering to speak here, Leslie. I would be interested. I would be open to being something like that. Spark plug or champion, as you say. Maybe for next year, not for this spring. I got enough other commitments going on right now that I can't add something else. But if we wanted to say, hey, let's plan ahead and let's plan to do this next spring, then we could put together 2 or 3 people, a little bit of a working group, and go at it. And I'd be happy to participate in that.
If I could comment on there too. I think for the pickup, like, the program that Dean was talking about that they had in Winnipeg, sorry, I'm just looking at the calendar here as to when the long weekend is, which is the 23rd of May. So I assume, I assume the Mennonite relief sale is going this year. Do we know that for sure? It's and if so, it should be the 28th of May, because it's always the last Saturday of May, right? And like, can we put out communications to say, now you don't want to do it on the Tuesday because that's garbage day, but say the days leading up to it, maybe the Wednesday, Thursday, or something to that effect, to say you can put out items that are free for the taking for whoever comes along on that. Like, we're not going to be able to pick up the extra items this year because I don't think we're going to be able to coordinate anything in time to take it to the thrift store or items to the thrift store. And then we have to watch what we take to the thrift store because they'll only take so much too. I'm just thinking, like, can we, I guess it's kind of a slow intro into it, I guess, so to speak, in getting into that. And we really don't have to do anything but put communications out there and let the residents kind of go with it, I guess, so to speak, and see what happens.
Yeah, the relief sale is, actually that's a 2000. It says a schedule available soon for 2022, but it looked like it was going to be Friday, May 24th, but that doesn't work. They just haven't updated their website yet. The other option is also like the restore will often take things like that,
Yeah.
if you have extra wood and, drywall and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the idea of planning something, and even for fall too, it doesn't have to just be spring, when maybe our workload is a little bit less, if that ever happens.
Brian, did you have any comment? I saw you're muted there.
So
Can't hear you, Brian.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. No, I don't have any comments right now.
Okay. All right. Sorry, John, go ahead.
no, I had no other comment there.
Okay.
Just, I guess the other than, I don't think there's really going to be any human resources needing just to kind of, other than to get some communication out for something like this to see if, we can get some uptake for it, starting that week of the Mennonite relief sale.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
we should look at it as a committee.
Yeah, I like the idea of the working group that Dean had suggested, because I'm just trying to think of, I'm just playing devil's advocate in my mind of what are the, the risks and who we need to talk to in advance. Like I'm thinking by law, or even the region of how, if we could run into any issues and ensuring we're coordinating with the appropriate groups that would do, if we're thinking of like what Leslie mentioned, like the thrift store or other similar agencies to kind of do a drive-by. Yeah, I'm not sure what does everybody think? Dean?
And on the one hand, I agree with John, it's fairly simple to sort of just put it out there. On the other hand, I'd like, if we're going to do it, I'd like it to kind of be fairly successful the first time, rather than something we put out there and it kind of flops or fizzles a little bit. So I think my inclination would be to not try to do it yet this spring, but to say, yeah, let's do it for either fall or next spring, and check out with the various people and try to make a big splash, not a big splash, but make it a successful thing.
Okay. Is everyone okay with that? And at least then we can kind of ask the other questions too, like contacting the region and if bylaw needs to be involved from a property standards perspective or anything like that of the aftermath, not so much the day of.
So then who's going to be the one that does that? I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is that if it's going to happen, someone has to be the one to talk to the region. Is it going to be you and then you report back, or would you like someone else to do it?
I can talk to the region.
Oh, okay. You know, you talk to the region. That's perfect.
I deal with the region on other waste issues, so I've got a contact there. So.
Oh, that's excellent. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Perfect.
Perfect.
And then we'll report back at the next meeting and we'll see where we go from there.
I was just wondering what type of communication and when we start advertising that at the rec center, any events that are in the township that we try to make it known before next spring. Newspaper, Twitter, all that, social media, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that will come out of, like, we can also communicate it. Like the other thing that we did talk about, like this unofficial kind of rule that if you put something on at the boulevard now, it's free for the taking, right? So that's kind of how it goes right now. And I think we were just trying to come up with like a day or like a week where that's what we do. The Township of Wilmot, tries to repurpose things or give away free things that they no longer need, so that they don't go to the landfill. So that's like that, and that's the only concern I have, is that about putting it, like some people will put stuff on their boulevard knowing that in 2 or 3 days that garbage pickup is going to be, and then the item is not picked up. However, there's probably somebody out there in the region that wants it, and if they only knew that the Township of Wilmot has decided that on Thursday, May 30th or whatever day it is, you put your items out, then you might have people, come by and see if they can find the thing that they're looking for. Do you know what I mean? So I just like the organization about it, because I've put some stuff out there myself, like a bike that I no longer need, that my child has, and no one's picked it up. Well, I go back and get it, but some people may not do that. They might still just throw it out. And I would just hate for some things that could be used by someone not to be picked up. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing would be, what do we call this day?
mhm.
You got to have kind of a good
Catchphrase.
Yeah, catchphrase.
Yep.
Well, I like you said, free for the taking, Leslie, and that's maybe not a bad name for the day too.
I'll write that in the meeting notes.
What do they call it in Winnipeg, Dean?
It got known as both free weekend and giveaway weekend. I'm not sure which was sort of the official one that the city used, but people would talk about it as either free weekend or giveaway weekend. I like the free for the taking.
Yeah.
Slogan.
Okay, all right, so maybe first step, we'll hear back from Brian, like Brian report back from the region, and you can see if there's any issues with that, and or any insight that they can even provide in addition to that. And then maybe I think I'm liking the idea of not to push it off, but I think to kind of get it right, kind of what Dean said, maybe we'll either look at it for the fall or next spring. Dean, go ahead.
Yeah, just a note, I saw Bruce's lips moving a while ago, but his mic was off, so I'm not sure if he was talking to us or somebody else.
Oh.
He's looking.
How's that?
That's better.
Better.
Okay. No, it would be something that I would be interested in taking up this. I participate in it quite a bit already myself. So I was just saying, I think a weekend would probably be a good time to do it. Maybe the following week being a week where there's no garbage pickup. That would
Yep.
be a recycling week, so it maybe doesn't get,
Oh,
you know,
Yeah,
they wouldn't be leaving it out at the curb for saying, oh, I can't leave it till Monday now, it goes or whatever, but no, it would be something, Leslie, that I would, or Dean, that would be glad to
mhm.
Would
Yeah.
it make
try
sense-
and head up anyhow, or
Would it make sense for perhaps not as an idea for Earth Day for next year? I'm thinking along the line of like, you know, spring cleaning time frame as well, right? Where weather's a little bit nicer and people are, you know, purging things. When was it, Dean? You said it was twice a year. What was the time frame?
Yeah,
So
Winnipeg did it in May and September,
May and
which
September.
also tend to be months when people are doing yard sales. And so people might cruise yard sales and they also cruise the curb at on the same Saturday or that sort of thing. But it does tie in with spring cleaning and so forth. I think Earth Day is a little bit early, maybe just because it can still be kind of cool and not such nice weather, but you know, May or September seem to be good times for this. And that's also often sometimes when students are moving or people are setting up apartments and they're looking for a couple extra chairs or, you know, what have you.
All right,
Mhm.
excellent.
So I can't share it in the chat because we don't have a chat here. But it looks like Winnipeg's giveaway weekend, what it's called, is May 14th and 15th this year, 2022. So basically give unwanted items a new home, place reusable items marked with a free sign at the curb, and you remove leftover items by dusk on Sunday. And there's an etiquette to it. They have like a whole page related to what not to give, what to give, and the etiquette, both for people who discard and for pickup. And then a list of things of what you can do with leftover items, which includes the Canadian Diabetes Association, Goodwill, thrift stores, local community gifting groups. And it says here, leftover construction renovation material will not be picked up with regular garbage collection. So you have to take it to the landfill. So yeah, I'll share that in the meeting minutes so that we can take a look.
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Plagiarism is the best form of flattery, Leslie.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Good chat. I think we've come a long way from that. Good ideas have come from it. So we'll just to recap, we'll wait for Brian, and at the next meeting we'll kind of develop a game plan. Are we going to form a committee and target dates and all of that? But I think we have a good idea of the general direction. Excellent. All right, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, the greenhouse gas emissions review for 2021. Okay, so I do have that ready. I will share my screen. Second here. So I do have some good news. Our emissions were down again. Not entirely of a surprise, but we'll see if we're able to hold it, because we know as similar rationale to last year, as we know the closure of the facilities or reduced closure of the facilities has kind of affected our emissions overall. So I'm going to pop it up here and you'll see the graph as the first starting point. Just let me know if you guys can see that.
Yep, looks good.
Excellent. All right, so you'll see the history here as usual from 2012 and the target red line. So we're well below it. I'll give you the exact details of the amount of tons in a second, but that's kind of the visual representation at this point in time. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly zip to the data, just quickly, so I don't confuse you guys. But last year we were at 30% in progress, and in 2020, and we are at 32.91 this year. So a little bit of an increase beyond our 25% target. So just to reiterate, we are beyond our 25% emissions target by roughly 7% this year. So the question is once we return to, business as usual from a facility activity perspective, we might see a little bit of an uptick, but the question is how much will it spike back to prior to COVID 2020 activities. So here I have a breakdown of what the greenhouse gas tonnage is by the different types of the core consumers we have. So we have electricity, natural gas, propane, gasoline, and diesel. So for a total for 2021, our emissions are just over 1,100 tons. With the Beaumont Rec Complex being our biggest contributor at 455 tons, followed by our public works and our fire department. Predominantly for public works and the fire, or not the fire department, but public works, the major consumer here is gasoline and diesel for their vehicles and their fleet. So 260 tons out of their 326 accounts for that, and that is, as we all know, it's a challenge, right, as far as emissions on the types of vehicles that they utilize at this point in time with the given technologies. And going back to the WRC, natural gas being the biggest, at just under 400 out of the total 455. And I'm sure Bruce can say what's the, what within the facility is drawing on that natural gas. I'm sure it's related to, heating the pool and just a general.
Heating the pool takes a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. So there you have the data. If you want to take a moment to digest it, it's kind of broken down to each facility. And then if anyone has any questions in the interim, feel free to throw up your hand.
Ashton, how is it measured? Like, okay, let's say with the rec center at 394. What's the number? What's the name I'm looking for? Of tons of greenhouse gas. How is that measured? Like, how does that come out to be?
Okay, that's a good question. So what we do each year, and from the corporate services department, when we do pay our utility bills, we do track in detail the consumption of all of like electricity, fuel, natural gas, and then at the end of the year, we go to Sustainable Water Region and we provide all that data for the year. And essentially they take that consumption, throw it into their software, and their software has an indexing value against the type of consumption. And that's what derives the figures we have here in front of us.
Okay. And why is the fire department, why is their natural gas usage higher than, everything but the rec center, I guess?
Well, I think that combines the 3 stations they have.
Okay.
Yeah, while the public works, their one building is 64.
Okay.
And our administration building here is just under 50. So, you know, we expect it to be a little bit cooler in the fire stations, but yeah. Dean, go ahead.
Yeah, Ashton, I was curious. I mean, your first graph showed the decrease.
Yeah.
When we look at the different departments or activities, can you identify where have the decreases happened? Have they been across the board, or there have been some sort of outstanding folks? I mean, I would assume, as you say, it's probably less on gasoline sort of all around, but are there departments that have particularly been successful in the reductions?
That's a great question. I don't have the detail year over year. I haven't, as far as the detail that you have here today, I've only done that granular level over 2020.
Yeah.
So I think I did do a quick analysis, and I didn't make any notes, but I think overall, this is 2020, so it's a 50-ton difference. I think it was relatively this lower on most fronts. The WRC, the 50 tons, you can see 455. Sorry, I'm jumping around here, but to 502. That's where the most of it came from, and public works was relatively static at 356 to 326. But I think you asked a good question, and we can kind of, I'm going to see if I can get that historic data and perhaps plot it on a graph by facility to see exactly what you mentioned, kind of something like this, to see the areas of focus. I would say probably offhand that the biggest ones as far as reductions will probably be the WRC, and the streetlights would have seen a little bit of a jump as well when we did the LED replacement a couple of years ago, as far as the electricity consumption there goes. That's a good question. I'll make a note for that.
What are the lift stations?
Maybe Ryan can explain.
Yeah, those are the township's pumping stations.
Okay.
So Milton Byron pumping station and Charlotta pumping station. So that's for the sewage, our sewage pump stations.
Okay.
Oh,
And
Ashton, you said the streetlights, they went up when you did the LED?
No, I said they would have gone down.
Gone down, okay.
Yeah, as far as looking at the chart.
Okay.
How long have we been doing this? So do we have 2019 and 2018 data as well?
Yes.
Because
Yes,
like, it's really nice to see us going down, but I think that we were being honest, 2020 and 2021 were just not normal operating years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all good to see which department is doing better, which just probably is going to be WRC because we weren't using it like we normally do. I would really like to see like how we've been able to make it go down by actually doing something and not doing anything. You know what I mean?
Like I had most of our thermostats here at the WRC through the pandemic have been around 67, except 65 in some, except for the guys who were in the office yet and the girls in the office, and usually that's set at around 70 or 71, I believe. And then that gives all thermostats have a 2-degree in them. So a person can come in and put it up to 73 or down to 69. And there's like, I think there's 22 gas roof units for heating. And then one 1 million BTU boiler for the arena side for hot water, and 2 500,000 BTU boilers for, well, actually water heaters for the swimming pool side, and then 1 million BTU boiler for the pool. Now the pool, there's a huge dehumidifier in the pool, behind the pool, like it's one room basically is what it is. And we also recapture the heat from our compressors to heat the pool too, which in the summertime, it's very seldom that the boiler is actually heating the pool. It's usually done just recapturing heat from the refrigeration cycle.
Right.
So that's usually what's here. But yeah, as to what you were saying, Leslie, that'll, for next winter for sure, it's going to see would have probably seen a little bit already this year, but next year it'll all be back up there again.
Mhm.
And we are getting a new building automation system now with the system going in at the administration building too, which should help. We can control.
Mhm.
We kind of just have thermostats all over the place now. So that will also be on a building automation system that we can set a temperature and they'll have 2 degrees to play with, and that'll be all. And also a much more efficient boiler right now too.
Mhm.
Do we have the 2019 numbers, Ashton?
Not in that detail, not yet. So what I made a note, I think I'm going to try and extract all that data and somehow and try and figure out how to aggregate it and plot it all on a chart per facility.
Okay. Because that'll give us a more of a truer picture of what's been going on and taking 20 and 21 out of the mix that way.
Any other questions on the greenhouse gas data? Okay. So next I have the WRC emissions follow-up. I know, Dean, you asked a question about what more can be kind of done at the WRC to improve the emissions. So I did pose the question to the Director of Parks, Facilities and Recreation, and it's great to have Bruce here as well. She noted there's no immediate plans in place right now as far as replacing any existing technology due to the significant cost that would come with it. But with the third ice pad that comes along, there'll be certainly some consideration to ensure that we're maximizing, or not maximizing, but considering the impacts of the greenhouse gas reductions. Because the township has, and even on the transformed WR plan, it's an absolute target. So anything we add it's not going to be indexed because we have more square footage. That's what she had noted. It's a significant challenge as far as resources go for a facility like that. If you have any questions, I can certainly pass it along to her, or I don't know, even Bruce might be can answer it, some of them as well.
As I recall, when we had this conversation a year ago, it was reported that at the time that the facility was built, there had been some analysis around, does it make sense to do solar preheat of the water or that sort of thing? And it was determined that it didn't make sense at that point. And I think the question we asked is, given that things have changed, does it make sense at this point to look at some other systems that might reduce our consumption of the fossil fuels? So I don't know if Bruce has an answer on that one or not.
Yeah, I don't know for cost wise and stuff like that. No, it makes sense to do it. I don't know how it is financially. Yeah. Like I say, about the only thing we really recover, I should say, is we melt the snow on the arena side. We have a pit, and we also, that is done through the refrigeration system as well. Kind of another condenser that it goes through when we have that. But other than that, that's about all it is. Yeah.
I mean, it just
it is like our hot water, which is for they have done some things in years past, like the ice. I haven't been here since it was constructed, but it used to be hot water was all their floods. Now they have gone to this jet ice, which uses cold water, which is quite a significant savings. They've been doing that for a while, which is quite a significant savings there. In fact, we actually got rid of one boiler that was 1 million BTUs. We don't even use anymore. So, but yeah, other than that, the biggest expense for emissions in there, one of the biggest would be the hot water for showers. And that's all natural gas.
So, I mean, I was asking just because that facility far and away is our biggest consumer of energy in the township operations. If it might make sense to begin thinking about proposing for the budget next year, some sort of a study of the facility and what are the potential energy savings and what would be the cost implications of looking at, overall at the facility, both current as well as what expansions that are considered.
Solar is probably one of the only things that they could probably do to do that, right? I would think.
Yeah, probably. There's some flat roof at the back of that building, John, over above where the actual Zamboni corridor and everything is. But in that building, then really the only flat roof that there is between the arena and the pool, where basically the lobby and there's room on it, but a lot of that roof is taken up with the roof units and stuff too, if it has to go on the roof. But there definitely be room for it. But yeah, out the back, actually, where our water heater and stuff all is for the arena side, I think there's actually there's 3 flat roofs back there actually. All 3 are at a different height, but yeah. Something like that could be.
For sure. Yeah,
because I think that would be what you would be looking at.
So
Although it's always breezy there, but I don't know what wind.
yeah,
I guess that's just a windmill or whatever would be
yeah.
proper thing for it. But
So I'll pass along the comments as far as the facility study goes. I'm not sure if that would get tied in with perhaps the third ice rink as well, right? Because there's going to be overall impacts on the building. I know she said they'll definitely be looking at what they can for that project as well. So I will make a note for that to let Sandy know.
I will say one thing. Oh, sorry, Ashley.
No, go ahead.
There's pretty well every day you see 2 or 3 different cars at that charging station or more. It's getting, I think whether it's getting known that, hey, there's a stop along the way or whatever but it's nice to see, but every day you go by, there's cars in there that are using it.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and on that note, I did look at our system yesterday, and the WRC is definitely the most used, and then the follow-up is the on-street in New Hamburg. Not as much, if we were to compare, but the admin building, I would say, at this point gets the least amount of use. But I would hope, as far as, when staff begin to get, as electric vehicles become more prominent, we have people visiting the building. Right now, we don't really have much external visitors of COVID, but when those activities do commence, and also when we do obtain our electric fleet, we'll get more use out of these stations here as well.
Ash, for the ones in downtown New Hamburg, is there anything out there to let people know that they are there?
So I think as far as the communications, it was going to be leading up to Earth Day, that there was going to be, since the charging stations have been in for a while now and kind of working through some of the kinks, that they were going to kind of do community blasts. And I don't know, perhaps part of that, they can reach out to the Board of Trade and say, hey, as far as a promotion measure as well for, to communicate to perspective.
What about a sign on the highway?
Sign on the highway.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that. I don't think I've seen one, but I know for our charge point stations, it is listed on their charge point network. So I know there was a flag in the system that I could say, show it. And I know my understanding, most electric vehicles will have that, system in there and say, yep, you're near all these charging stations. So
there's also
users as well.
I think there's an app too that shows them all, right?
Yeah. And we should be on there. If I don't have an electric car, so I don't know how to check specifically.
Well, there's a separate app altogether outside of the manufacturer's stuff. I think I've got one. I'll have to look at it later though, but there is an app.
Okay.
What about putting a sign up at the rec center where the charging stations are now to inform people there's another one downtown? If it's getting used so much, then word of mouth, and I don't know.
And maybe just piggybacking on Brian's suggestion, at at all 3 charging stations, there might be a sign with a little map or something, you know, of Wilmot Township sponsored charging stations.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll reach out to our facilities team and see if that's possible, because I know we put up signs now saying there wasn't one before when they first installed it, but saying electric vehicles only, and we can maybe put it right below there. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then I'll move on to the last agenda item, the evening of recognition. I was hoping Tova would be here for this. Normally they do their annual awards ceremony. It's been a bit challenging with COVID, so I was hoping that she can kind of provide some information, because I don't have all the details on the event. I thought I saw there's supposed to be a virtual event. I didn't get the specific date. But if I do find more information, I'll circulate it to the committee if you do wish to attend. Yeah, not sure where she is, but she said she was coming, so. But other than that, I don't have anything else on the agenda, so we can jump down to roundtable. If anyone has anything, feel free to share now, and if not, we'll adjourn the meeting. Go ahead, Leslie.
The annual recognition event is online, and it's actually next Thursday, April 21st from
Excellent.
4 till 6.
From 4 to 6. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. If you don't mind passing that along to Leslie to me, and then I can forward the video, or if you don't mind just forwarding it to the group, and at least then those who are interested to attend the event on. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Meeting notes.
On a personal note, so I mentioned some time ago, we put another solar array in here at home. And on Wednesday, now we fired it up, it was December the 2nd. And it's kind of the worst time of year to figure or to look at it and say, is this net metering thing working? And after we got it working, I was back and forth quite a bit with KW Hydro, because I thought there's something wrong here. It's not working. But it was a colder winter and we're using a lot more electricity for heating. But on Wednesday of this week was the first day that I had a negative reading for our hydro for it, meaning that we produced more than what we used. So I was very happy to see that.
Excellent. All right. Is there anything else anyone want to share before we wrap up today?
No.
Excellent. All right. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Thank you, John. All right. Have a great long weekend, everybody, and we'll see everybody next month.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
I know.